Right. So, you know how some historical figures just stick around, like their legend just kind of grows? Well, today we're actually diving into someone like that, aren't we, Odysseus?
Absolutely, Athena. We're talking about Michel de Nostradame, or as most people know him, Nostradamus. He's this incredible 16th century French astrologer, physician, and reputed seer, right? His name is just synonymous with, like, predicting the future, even centuries later.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, when you hear prophecy, he's often the first guy who pops into your head. What was it? His book, Les Prophéties?
That's right, Les Prophéties, published way back in 1555. It's filled with these, 942 poetic quatrains. And honestly, people have believed for ages that these verses, they predict future events. It's quite mind-blowing when you think about it.
942? Wow. And they're super cryptic too, aren't they? Like, not straightforward at all. I heard they're a mix of languages.
Yeah, exactly. They're in French, Latin, Greek, even Provençal sometimes. It makes them really, really open to interpretation, which is, I think, part of their lasting appeal, right? It's like people look back after a big event and then go, oh, that's what he meant.
Fascinating. So we're gonna pick apart some of his most famous ones today, yeah?
Precisely. We've got some absolute classics to dig into. So let's kick things off with arguably his most famous prediction, the one that really cemented his reputation during his own lifetime, Quatrain I-35, about the death of King Henry II.
Oh, this is the one about the lions, isn't it? I remember hearing bits about this. What's the original text, like, roughly?
Well, the original text is quite poetic, obviously, but translated, it's something like, "The young lion will overcome the older one on the field of combat in a single battle. He will pierce his eyes through a golden cage, 2 wounds made one, then he dies a cruel death." Quite vivid, you know?
Whoa, that's pretty specific. A golden cage and pierce his eyes. That's quite graphic, actually. So how did this supposedly play out?
Right, so in 1559, King Henry II of France, the Old Lion, was in a jousting tournament, and accidentally he was mortally wounded by a lance from his opponent, Gabriel Montgomery, who'd be the Young Lion. The lance, it splintered, and get this, it pierced his golden helmet, the golden cage, right through his eye. He suffered for 10 days, and then, died a cruel death.
That is unbelievably precise. Like the golden cage, the eye, the 2 lions. That's almost too perfect, isn't it? It's like you can see why that would have really made people sit up and take notice.
Absolutely. It's often cited as one of the strongest pieces of evidence for his prophetic abilities. Just incredibly accurate, it seemed.
Okay, so if the King Henry II one is super specific, what about some of the others that people, retrospectively connect? Like, I've heard his name brought up with World War II.
Oh, you're absolutely right. That brings us to Quatrain II 24, which many interpreters strongly link to the rise of Adolf Hitler. It's got lines about Bestes farouches de fer fluis trainer, which is like fiercely famished brutes swimming rivers, and then, the crucial part, plus part du cap en contre hister sera.
Ah, Hister. I think I know where this is going. People often see that as Hitler, don't they?
Exactly. It's seen as a thinly veiled reference, right? And then it mentions, when Rhine's child shall Germany watch over. So Rhine's child, or German, referring to Germany. The whole quatrain paint a pretty grim picture, with famished brutes and iron cage, alluding to the hardships, the imprisonment, and, well, the war itself.
It's quite a stretch with the name, isn't it? Like Hister for Hitler. But I guess if you're looking for connections, you make that leap. And the Rhine's child does fit the geography, obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where the interpretation comes strongly after the event, which is, a common criticism of Nostradamus. But it's compelling nonetheless for many. The suffering, leader, it all lines roi. Du ciel viendra un grand roi d'effrayeur. So the year 1999, seventh month, from the sky will come a great king of terror. Pretty chilling, don't you think?
Extremely chilling. A king of terror from the sky in 99. So what happened in July of 1999? Was there some big catastrophe?
Well, that's the thing. Nothing like a global catastrophe or the Antichrist, which many people were speculating about, actually occurred in July 1999. But, and this is where it gets interesting, some later interpretations, retrospectively, tried to link it to the September 11, 2001 attacks.
But that's 2 years later and a different month. How do they square that?
Exactly. Experts largely dismiss it because of the date mismatch. They focus on the King of Terror from the sky aspect, linking the planes, and then there's the Great King of Anglemoor line, which some have anachronistically interpreted as an anagram for Mongols, suggesting a new Asian invasion. But honestly, the date mismatch is a huge sticking point for anyone trying to take it seriously.
So, speaking of 9/11 and interpretations, wasn't there another one that people linked to that tragic event? Like about a new city?
There absolutely was, Athena. Quatrain V6.97, often called Fire in the New City. This one got significant attention after the 9/11 attacks, as you said. The quatrain goes something like, 5 and 40 degrees, the sky shall burn. To the great new city shall the fire draw nigh. With vehemence the flames shall spread and churn.
Okay, great new city and fire. That sounds pretty evocative for New York, doesn't it? And 45 degrees, is that about New York's latitude?
Yeah, that's precisely the connection people tried to make. They linked 45 degrees to New York City's approximate latitude, though, funnily enough, it's closer to 40 degrees. And Great New City was interpreted as New York, obviously. The fire and Great Flame were seen as descriptions of the Twin Towers collapsing.
Right, but if the latitude is off, that's a pretty big hole in the interpretation, isn't it? And I imagine New City could refer to, well, a lot of places.
Absolutely. Skeptics, are quick to point out that imprecision. And also that Nostradamus referred to various new cities in his prophecies, with Naples or Neapolis, which literally means new city, being a much more plausible reference for him, geographically and historically. So again, it's a bit of a stretch for many. So to wrap things up, let's talk about one more really famous figure Nostradamus is often credited with predicting, Napoleon Bonaparte. Though this one's a bit different because it's less about one specific quatrain being universally agreed upon.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not as clear-cut as, say, King Henry II? More like general vibes?
Yeah, precisely. While there isn't one perfect quatrain like the Henry II, Nostradamus is frequently credited. Some interpretations of quatrain 227, for example, have been linked, though the specific text itself is debated. But there's another really famous one, which goes, an emperor will be born near Italy, who will cost the empire a high price. From the people he will be less than a prince, but he will be born in the greatest need.
Okay, born near Italy. That immediately makes me think of Corsica, where Napoleon was born. And less than a prince. He rose from, fairly humble beginnings, didn't he?
Completely. He was born in Corsica, near Italy, and he absolutely rose to power from relatively humble origins. And his leadership, well, it definitely cost empires a high price through prolonged warfare, didn't it? So while it's a bit more diffuse than other prophecies, it's still very compelling for many historians and enthusiasts alike.
It just shows how open to interpretation these things are, doesn't it? But still, what a legacy. Absolutely fascinating stuff, Odysseus.
Totally. Always a pleasure, Athena.
So we've looked at predictions for kings and wars, but what about something truly out of this world? Has Nostradamus ever been linked to something as monumental as the moon landing?
That's a fantastic question, Athena, and it often comes up. While there isn't a specific quatrain saying, man will tried to retroactively connect his verses to this incredible feat.
So no eagles land on the dusty sphere type of thing then? What sort of interpretations do people try to make?
It's more about broader metaphorical themes. For instance, some interpret quatrains mentioning the great star or the sky will tremble as humanity reaching for the heavens. Quatrain I.31 talks of things from the sky, which some have stretched to include space travel. But it's a significant stretch and highly speculative.
Right, so another case where the interpretation is more of a wishful retrospective rather than a direct hit. The massive technology gap must make it incredibly hard to find any solid links.
Precisely. Imagining a 16th century seer accurately describing a Saturn V rocket or a lunar module is, well, quite a challenge. It really highlights how much interpretation relies on looking backward after the event.
Okay, so we've looked at specific predictions, but what about the big one, the end of the world? Did Nostradamus ever touch on global catastrophe?
Absolutely, Athena. His cryptic style makes end-of-the-world prophecies a major theme. Many quatrains are interpreted as doomsday scenarios due to their inherent ambiguity.
So not a direct world ends on this date, but people read into the chaos he describes.
Precisely. Consider quatrain 2.41. The great star for 7 days will burn. Interpreters often link this to a comet impact, intense solar flares, or nuclear holocaust, with the 7 days suggesting prolonged disaster.
The great star burning. That's terrifying. So its lack of specifics makes it adaptable to various fears of global destruction.
Exactly. Its vagueness allows for almost any catastrophe. Asteroid collisions, widespread conflict. It truly provides a canvas for human anxieties about eschatology.
Picking up on those apocalyptic visions, you mentioned comets and intense solar flares. Are there any prophecies that touch on even more bizarre celestial events, like something completely new appearing in our sky?
Absolutely, Athena. We have quatrain V6, which is often interpreted as describing something truly unprecedented, a second sun. It speaks of the great star for 7 days will burn. The cloud will make 2 suns.
Whoa, 2 suns? That's incredibly dramatic. So people interpret that literally as another star showing up? Or is it more symbolic, like a major event that feels like 2 suns?
Both, really. Some see it as a literal celestial phenomenon, perhaps a supernova bright enough to rival our sun, or a massive comet. Others consider it a metaphor for a new, overwhelming power, or a cataclysmic, world-altering event that casts a double shadow on humanity's future.
A cataclysmic event or a supernova. Either way, it definitely evokes a sense of immense dread and a change to our very perception of reality. It's wild how Nostradamus conjures such vivid, almost sci-fi imagery centuries ago. It's wild how Nostradamus conjures such vivid, almost sci-fi imagery centuries ago. But speaking of how he wrote them, I've heard some pretty wild claims about the quatrains actually being written in a secret code. Is there any truth to that, Odysseus?
Yes, Athena. That's a popular theory, one that adds another layer of mystique to his work. Many enthusiasts believe that beyond the cryptic language, Nostradamus deliberately embedded ciphers or hidden messages within his quatrains, perhaps to avoid direct persecution or to make his prophecies only to certain individuals.
So, like, not just ambiguous wording, but actual coded language. That's a whole other level of complexity. Have people actually claimed to crack these codes?
Absolutely. There have been numerous attempts over the centuries. Researchers and code breakers have pored over his texts, looking for anagrams, specific numerical patterns, or even acrostic messages verifiable master key or method for cracking a Nostradamus code. Skeptics often argue that these findings are more a result of pareidolia, where people see patterns in random data rather than actual deliberate encryption by Nostradamus himself.
So, we've talked a lot about Nostradamus, but he wasn't the only one predicting the future back then, right? Were there any other seers from his time known to have successfully predicted events with that same kind of lasting impact?
That's a crucial question, Athena, highlighting Nostradamus' unique legacy. The 16th century was rife with astrologers and prognosticators, but few, if any, achieved the lasting recognition or documented hits that he did.
So, no other big names with uncanny predictions still talked about today?
Not on the same scale. Many courts had their own astrologers, but their predictions were often generalized or forgotten. Nostradamus' Les Prophéties, with its broad, cryptic style, truly set him apart. This ambiguity allowed for retrospective application, giving his work an enduring quality others lacked.
So, it's more about a lack of successful, widely known, and enduring predictions from his contemporaries.
Exactly. He cornered that market.
So, he really cornered the market on enduring prophecies from his era. But what about later seers? Have there been figures, perhaps centuries after him, who also built up reputations for being almost as good as Nostradamus?
That's an excellent question, Athena. While few truly matched Nostradamus' enigmatic legacy, yes, there are figures who gained significant renown in later centuries, with their predictions often compared to his.
Fascinating. Who were some of these people? Was their styles similar or completely different?
A key example is Edgar Cayce, the 20th century sleeping prophet. Unlike Nostradamus' quatrains, Cayce delivered readings in a trance, offering medical insights but also prophecies on world events and ancient civilizations.
The sleeping prophet sounds utterly unique. So a completely different method, but still a similarly vast scope of predictions, from personal to global events?
Exactly. His prophecies were more direct, and his followers have, for decades, retroactively linked his visions to real-world occurrences, forging a powerful legacy that, for many, stands alongside Nostradamus' mystique.
So, if his prophecies were more direct, what are some of his most astonishing hits, Odysseus? What solidified his reputation for prophetic accuracy?
A clear standout, Athena, is his prediction of the Great Depression's timing. He foresaw economic shifts, advising preparation for a downturn and later predicting recovery with remarkable precision. His accurate medical diagnoses from trance states were also legendary.
The Great Depression, that's a huge, impactful event. And accurate medical diagnoses from a trance state? That's wild. Any other large-scale prophecies?
Indeed. Another, more controversial, involved earth changes, shifting poles and submergence of land masses, interpreted as gradual geological shifts. He also fueled speculation about the discovery of Atlantis.
So, from economic upheavals to planetary shifts and lost continents, it sounds like his influence was less about cryptic poetry and more about direct counsel, even if still quite grand.
Precisely. The sheer volume and practical intent of his direct readings, from personal health to global shifts, established his unique legacy.
So, we've explored real-world figures, from Nostradamus to Cayce, who captured imaginations with their prophecies. But what about the seers who live purely in the realm of stories, the ones in our myths and fictional worlds?
Ah, a fantastic pivot, Athena. From the Oracle of Delphi to Shakespeare's witches, these figures often drive the entire narrative. Think of Tiresias in Greek tragedy, blind yet seeing truths no one else could, or the sinister trio in Macbeth foretelling ambition and downfall.
Right, so they're not just predicting, they're shaping destiny almost. And those classical examples are just so potent. What about more modern stories, say in sci-fi or fantasy?
Absolutely. Modern fiction is brimming with them. From the prescient Kwisatz Haderach in Dune, capable of seeing countless futures, to the sometimes unreliable divination class in Harry Potter, seers continue to play crucial roles, whether guiding heroes or unveiling dire warnings.